The press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Would you please take a second, turn off all electronic equipment, stand for the flag salute. Attention, salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rosie, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Blumberg?
Here.
And Ms. Darby? Here.
We will alter our agenda. I think we should lead off with a report from Mr. Deeney on the court proceedings today, and I can just tell you Margate had a great day. It's a good day for Margate. Rich?
Thank you, Mayor. The Mayor and I were in Camden this morning in federal court, along with our counsel headed by Rob Andrews. We had Rob Andrews and Mr. Tom Beamer and Mr. Jordan Rang. They appeared before Judge Baum in federal court. We had appeared, that is, Margate had appeared last week before Judge Baum, and there was a temporary injunction given, but it was answerable by the state today back in court on December 4th. So that was a temporary injunction. I'm going to read a press release like I have been reading a statement each meeting for the last 6 meetings. And I'm going to make it available to anybody who would like it after the 4 o'clock meeting. And it reads as follows. As stewards of the public trust, no one understands better than the commissioners of the City of Margate the imperative of implementing the strongest and best means to protect life and property against future storms. The commissioners respect the intentions of the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in proposing the Dunes construction project. After much debate and discussion in November of 2013, the voters of Margate overwhelmingly expressed their desire to oppose the proposed project because it is not the best option to protect Margate. A month ago, the voters of Margate reaffirmed their opposition to the project, which is based on an 18-year-old study that failed to consider meaningfully any alternative to dune construction. Despite these deficiencies in the proposed project, the Army Corps and the DEP recently undertook actions to rush ahead with the project. The city's leaders expressed their willingness to negotiate in good faith with the Army Corps and the DEP in order to explore better alternatives. Those negotiations, however, did not occur, and the commissioners, understanding the irreparable harm that would occur to Margate's beaches, authorized legal action against the DEP and against the Army Corps of Engineers. On November 24th, the city filed a lawsuit in the U.S. Federal District Court in Camden. On that day, U.S. District Judge Renee Baum ordered a temporary restraining order barring the DEP and the ACOE, the Army Corps of Engineers, from awarding contracts or commencing construction on Margate's beaches. Judge Baum then directed the parties to appear in court today in order to further consider the litigation. This morning, Judge Baum approved an interim resolution of our litigation to stop the construction of dunes on the beaches of Margate. We are very pleased with this result because it accomplished 2 objectives. First, the DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers were strongly encouraged by the judge to engage in good faith negotiations with the City of Margate over the nature and timing of the beach protection project. Second, there will be no contract awarded for construction of the dunes and no construction activity of any nature on our beaches while our negotiations proceed in the next few weeks. We stand ready to negotiate in good faith, like we have said here for months, toward a beach protection solution for the City of Margate that respects our city's unique circumstances and the will of our people as expressed at the polls on 2 occasions. We anticipate that as negotiations ensue, there may be legal proceedings in a variety of forums and at numerous times. In any of those instances, we are prepared to defend vigorously the rights of the people of our city, including their rights to protection against unreasonable use of the eminent domain powers. We are respectful of and pleased with today's decision. We will continue to fully inform the people of Margate as the process continues. And I would say that the process will continue. This is not the end. This is a major victory today for Margate, but it is not the end. The issue at hand today, and the one that's really the major issue in my estimation, is our constitutional rights as citizens of this country to be heard in a forum. No one disputes the fact that the federal government, or the state government for that matter, or even the local government, has rights under certain circumstances for eminent domain to take one's property. But the Constitution of this country says that that's a very strong power, and because it is, cases through the years have provided guidance that allows us as citizens to realize that we do have rights as well. And one of the cases that we relied on today was a case in New Jersey in which no one disputed the state's rights to take property, but they disputed the way in which the property might otherwise be used. And we have a right, we contend, to go before a forum, a judge, at some point and say, Mr. Judge, we believe that there's a better way to protect the people of Margate. We are not against the state or the federal government exercising their powers, but we would like a say in how they accomplish their objectives. As far as I know, that's what we've all tried to say in our own words at different times, and finally, after 9 months or so, we realized we were all saying the same thing, and we sat here and got together and figured out a way through the wonderful help of very skilled attorneys in being able to present articulately the case. And I will tell you today, from being in the courtroom, and it was a public courtroom, there were reporters there, we presented a case in a way that was well understood by the judge. At the same time, the judge had done her homework and did understand from the briefs precisely what the issues were, and let it be known that she would like it resolved in some way other than having to rule constitutionally against a state or federal entity. And I think everybody got the message that we better get together and we better try to figure out a solution instead of just guessing what the other side might be thinking. So I think you all should be congratulated around this table and the people in this community for understanding, wherever you sit on this issue, that we're all Americans. And this has the making of, if it were to go in this direction, and I don't think it will, of an historic case with national implications of eminent domain powers with the Constitution of this country. So it's fun to be part of it, so thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rich. Margate should be very proud of its legal team. Their performance today was like exemplary. I was completely overwhelmed by them. We are well represented, and if we need them in the future, they stand ready to act on a moment's notice. And as Rich said, it's time for all of us to pull the oars in the same direction, and it was just a great day for Margate. We will now begin with department head reports, and we'll start to the right today. Fred, do you have anything? I didn't forget.
I do have a few things. What?
Not those things.
Not those things. I have two things. The current contract we have for our emergency call system, which everybody recognizes as robocalls,
is coming due. The current system that we have only allows us to do emergency calls only, and there has been some instances where we wanted to do some general calls. So I asked them to give us a proposal for an unlimited usage of that system. It turns out that it's just another $1,000 a year to do it. So it'll probably be about $6,000 for the contract for this year, which would give us unlimited usage of that calling system. I think that it's a good idea. I think it's something that we should do, and I'll leave it to you for your suggestion.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Is there some way, I've had a few complaints that people are upset when their caller ID, the robocalls come up as Margate emergency. Or can we get that changed somehow?
What does it come up as?
Margate emergency or something?
What would they like it to come up as?
I have no idea. But if we're making a robocall for something other than an emergency, maybe there might...
Well, that's the reason, because the system currently is just for emergencies.
Okay.
So
as we move forward, if we approve that, that can get changed.
I think there would be one for general calls and one for emergency calls, but the contract would have to be changed for us to be able to go forward with it. So I think it would be very useful for us for a lot of reasons. I mean, we could do it for events that happen in the summer. We could do it for, hydrant flushing, which we can't do now. There's a lot of use for it. And for $1,000, I just think it's a good idea.
Maybe like emergency for emergencies, emergency
Yes.
message, or an important message from the city of Margate.
Correct.
Unanimously.
Okay? So that's good. The next one I have is, I have a project ongoing to try and connect our municipal buildings via fiber optic cable aerial. One of the things we have to do is enter into a joint use agreement with Atlantic City Electric. I've sent the agreement to Scott and Rich, and Scott has looked at it. He said it's a standard joint use agreement. Looks like it's good to go. And with your permission, I'd like to have a resolution and the agreement done at the next meeting so I can move forward with this project.
Scott, we okay with that? Scott, would you?
That's what we want to do. It's good for the city of Margate. It's so that we can have a better communication system. We do need to sign this, I'll call it almost boilerplate agreement with the Atlantic Electric Company.
Atlantic Electric.
And I think what we'll do is have a resolution, like we've done with other real estate issues. The mayor actually signs it on behalf of the city of Margate. But we need a formal resolution, which then gets attached to that agreement.
Yeah.
And we'll have that for our next meeting.
For our next meeting,
If you
okay.
approve. Do you have
Fred,
any
what is
questions?
it for? I don't understand. Fiber optic system for what?
Well, right now, since the storm and we moved into this building, it has broken my wide area connection. I had connections to all of the buildings so that I could share information from one system to another, have backups in different buildings. Well, that has been severed since we moved here. And as I've been going along, I've been planning on how to do it properly. And now I have the plan in place. I have some estimates on how to get it done. And with the work that's being done at 1 South, it just all falls into place for me right now. And so it's a pretty cumbersome process to get the approvals from both Verizon and Atlantic City Electric to mount to their poles. And that's why if anybody has seen me walking around, I've been measuring lines outside and taking pole numbers and pictures, but it takes a lot of doing to get it done. And once it's finished, I'll be able to have backup sites everywhere from each building. I'll be able to do things in 1 South in the police department from here and vice versa, and it just builds a wider connection for me. And eventually we'll have one phone system that actually connects all the buildings instead of having different phone systems in each building. So
Okay with that, Mike?
it's absolutely a good idea.
Agreed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Fred.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Rosie?
Here, we can get that.
Nope, we're good, thanks.
Jim?
I think it's a great job you guys did today in court. Proud day in Margate. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Jim. Roger?
I agree with Jim, and I have nothing
from my department. Mr. Abbott.
Mayor, I'd like to just clarify resolution number 240.
Turn your mic on.
Sorry. I'd like to clarify Resolution 240, authorizing the expenditure of additional monies for our law firm that represented us today in federal court. You will all recall that our attorney Andrews had requested a special, well, not a special meeting, but an executive meeting on November 20th, which was held, and our legal strategy and potential court action was discussed and authorized, and the expenditure of $50,000 was approved that night after we came out of executive session. So technically speaking, the resolution was really adopted on November 20th, but to have it on an agenda, to have it on the record, Rosie and I spoke about this again today. We thought it was best, Rosie agreed, to have this resolution memorialized again. That's why you also see it here on today's agenda as well, just to eliminate any question, have a paper trail, show exactly what. But actually, we authorized this, you did authorize this on November 20th, that expenditure.
Scott, if I may, I had spoken with Rich before the meeting, and I did add it to the minutes to reflect that it was verbally authorized, and the purpose of this at tonight's meeting is just to memorialize it, so it is there.
Good. Everybody's good on that one. Okay. You have two other items where we may go into executive session very briefly to discuss ongoing litigation and potential litigation, but that'll be very short, I promise you. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Scott. Rich, you have it? Chief Wilson?
Everything's good in the police department. I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Chief.
Keeping with the trend, nothing to report. Thank you.
Chief Tabasco?
I have something to report. Would you mind, Mayor, if I read this letter?
I would be very happy for you to read that.
We had an unfortunate incident on Thanksgiving evening, but it had a really good result, and I wanted to share. I just got the letter myself from the mayor right now. I knew of the event and had already planned on commending my own personnel for this, the action they took. Mayor Becker, Chief Wolfson, and Chief Tabasco, I feel it is my duty to let you know how truly remarkable the response of the Margate City Police and Fire Departments was on Thanksgiving evening. They were truly professional and caring, going above and beyond the call of duty. Our oven containing 3 days' worth of kosher cooking caught fire. Fortunately, we had an extinguisher on hand and were able to put the fire out before the police and fire departments arrived. Now, let me just throw in there that most homes have dry chemical extinguishers. It uses a powder chemical to put the fire out, but it creates a huge mess. They thoroughly checked the gas lines, making sure everything was safe for us to have our meal there. They brought in heavy-duty fans, opened all of the windows to help clear out the thick smoke that had filled our first floor. Naturally, my daughter, who had done the cooking, was beside herself. The entire kosher portion of our meal, which she had cooked, was ruined by the discharge from the fire extinguisher. The officers and firefighters were so compassionate and caring that when they found out that half our meal was lost, Lieutenant Hornig, who is the fire lieutenant, volunteered to bring the extras from the firehouse meal. We were amazed by the selflessness of the gesture, but explained that half of us kept kosher and we would have to cook some frozen kosher food or something else that we had left in the house. A few minutes after they had left, and while we were trying to figure out how to salvage our Thanksgiving meal, we received a phone call from Lieutenant Horning saying that they had found a kosher restaurant in Ventnor that was open and that we could pick up food for our dinner there. Whatever he told them, they included extra goodies in our takeout order and gave us a very nice discount. They even stopped back to make sure everything worked out okay. Again, I just wanted to say how incredible the police and fire departments were. I would also like to give accolades to the very caring officer McIntyre from the police department. They turned what could have been a disaster into a fantastic Thanksgiving that we will never forget. And for myself, when I read this just now, I am extremely proud. And I know Dave is also, because we preach customer service. That is our philosophy. And even though this may be a small event in Margate itself, especially when we talk about big things that we're doing, it means so much, and I'm so proud. And thanks for letting me read it.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Chief Wilson. Thank you to all your men. Anything else, Tony? Ed?
Okay. Currently, the road program's working. Mansfield, Benson, and Granville Avenue, all beach blocks are under construction. The beach block on Granville will start. They just mobilized. They did milling. While that construction is going on, the library and senior parking lots will be closed. We met with the library, the police chief, myself, and felt it's unsafe for anyone to try to utilize those lots while at least one means of ingress or egress is not functioning. So they will be closed during that construction. It could be as much as 2 weeks. We will try to get the lots open as soon as possible. The repurposing of the old municipal building, 1 South Washington, will be received on December 16th at 11 o'clock, the bids. We are hopeful that the bids are all in order so that we can look at an award at our 18th meeting. Let's see, other than that, we're just working on various designs right now. There's another road program that is under design, and we have put together, and I will get to Lisa, the capital wish list for engineering. I've also left everyone a copy, and we did this early last year. What I try to do for the year is just give a summation of what we have done in the city for the year. And it's just a breakdown of projects, the amount of time, any grants, construction projects, just so you know. It's kind of a capsule of what's been accomplished for the year, just informational purposes. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Ed.
Ed, I have a question for you. We were talking today, some people came in the office, and they were commenting on how there's always water running on the side of our
Yes.
building, and the problem that we see is with the winter coming, and there's the handicap spot and the handicapped access right there. Is that just...
What we're trying to, unfortunately, that's the sump pumps that are under the building. We're trying to get the level of the water down as low as possible. When we see severe cold weather coming, we're going to have to shut those pumps down. At some point, because we don't have an active storm sewer system in the immediate area of this building, there's really nowhere for the water to be pumped to. Its normal path, like most of the city, is the gutter line, ultimately to an inlet, but there's not an inlet for 2 or 3 blocks from here. So we're going to have to shut them down. We're going to have to look at, the easy solution would be tied into the sanitary sewer. We're not allowed to do that. So that will stop. In fact, if Frank was here, I was going to ask him to make sure they run the broom down the street before everybody shows up in the morning when the street's clear, because right now it looks a lot worse because of the leaves from the trees. But I'm aware of the problem. There is no quick and easy solution for it, unfortunately, but other than to shut the pumps down and let the water build up, and then when it's warm, turn them back on again.
Because as you know, it's always people with canes and walkers and everything
Absolutely, and
that try to get in here. And
it's much worse right now because of, we have little dams, little leaf dams.
Okay.
As you go, and the water just puddles up significantly.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Ed. Maury, you do anything?
Nothing to report, Mike.
Brenda?
Beginning in January, we'll have weekly recycling pickup, and recycling will now be picked up on the same day as the scheduled trash pickup, beginning in January. So in other words, trash and recycling will be picked up on the same day of the week as our scheduled trash pickup. The coordination of the same-day pickup will hopefully encourage more recycling, and it'll be much more convenient for our year-round residents as well as our seasonal residents. I thank the Atlantic County Utilities Authority and the Solid Waste Division for accommodating our request on this. That's really good news. And speaking of recycling, we are hopeful to include the purchase of 64-gallon recycling carts with lids for every Margate household. The Public Works budget is in the process of being finalized, but Frank and I both are pleased about this because it's known that the larger the cart, the more recycling is picked up at curbside. So, and also recycling items are less costly to dispose of than trash. So we'll be able to save money on disposing of hopefully more recycling than trash. At this time, most of us have the small open recycling buckets, and sometimes when it's windy, the top, whatever's in there blows out or they get blown over, and then this recycled litter ends up in our drains. So keeping the stormwater drains cleared and unclogged should also help save us money on our video pipe cleaning service too. And also we'll keep the debris out of the bay. I'm also working on the winter newsletter, so if I would be grateful if you could send me your department updates and your letters by December 17th so we can electronically distribute it on December 21st. And on our docket for tonight, we're going to approve the executive session minutes from May 28th, 2014 regarding the beach advertising. And I just wanted to ask Scott if we can make this public, since the public paid for it, and in the effort of transparency, I don't know, maybe put it on our website so people can read it if they wish.
I see no problem with making it public. You can do it now, yeah.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. My only comment, I'd like to, just comment again on everybody's performance on behalf of the city of Margate at this morning's court session. I'm just really blown away, and it was a great day for Margate, as I said before. We'll now open for public comment.
Mike, before we open, I have two quick questions, and maybe I just missed a couple of things, and I'm hoping that Brenda can clarify for me. I hear that we're going to collect, recycle, and trash on the same day, starting in January every week. Was there an additional cost that we're going to pay to get that additional service? And was that reviewed with Rich?
We did review it. It's 18 more pickups, and the new schedule isn't going to cost us anything. They're accommodating us, which is great.
New schedule the same day, but there is an increase in cost for 18 additional pickups.
Yes.
And my second question is, and so Rich, somebody will fill me in on what that cost is. My second question, and maybe I have two additional questions, or one question and one suggestion. I heard you, every taxpayer is going to get a big recycle can? So
if we can fit it into the budget.
And what are they? They're like $100 a piece, right?
They're $45 a piece.
For the big ones?
They're 64-gallon lidded containers.
Okay.
They're called carts, technically.
Okay. I have one. I bought it, but I don't recall it only costing me $45.
I think you have a 95-gallon one. You can buy a 95-gallon one, and they're $65. The 64-gallon containers, or carts rather, with lids are $45.
Okay. And so the plan is that everybody's going to get one of those?
Every household.
Every household. So will the summer residents get them as well?
Yes.
So okay, good. If we can fit that in, I think that's a great idea. And the one other suggestion that I might have in conjunction with our green program is that maybe when we give them their trash can, we can give them a recycled grocery bag. So I was thinking that you could work with the MBA, since we are looking at trying to get rid of plastic bags, that when they come and get one of their trash cans, that we have nice bags with Margate on them printed up.
That's an excellent idea. In fact,
and
we
we
have
could-
reusable bags made, and we can get more made to do that, and maybe get a grant for it. That's a great idea, Maury. Thank you.
Okay, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll now open the public comment, 3 minutes. Please come forward, state your name, your address. You have 3 minutes to talk about anything that was discussed here at the table today.
Sewell, 22 West Drive, following up on the remarks of City Administrator Richard Deeney, I would once again most strongly urge that Mr. Deeney, as well as others, formulate a solid position paper on a masted jetty to be erected at the end of Longport. You can put up dunes until the cows come home, and they'll be washed away in less than 45 minutes, unless there is a master jetty to recapture the sand during the storm action. I think the Absecon Inlet Jetty, you go over there, you'll observe that not only did it stop the silting up of the Absecon Inlet, but it generated close to 3,000 feet of new beach for Brigantine. And that's why Jay Lamont said, call it Brigantine Beach, because they have large beaches. So I once again urge, get that position paper, strongly argue it. And it's not only going to benefit Margate, but it's greatly going to benefit Longport, as well as Ventnor and Atlantic City. There's no sense in the silting up of the Great Egg Harbor Inlet. This could be prevented, and in the process, save the sand from being constantly washed away. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? What'd you say? I'm
She has
sorry.
copies of her testimony. She wants to leave it up there.
May I ask you what subject you're speaking on?
Yes, I'm speaking on ordinance 33,
That would be at the next meeting?
the
That's fine. Pardon me?
balloon release ban,
I'm sorry.
the balloon release ban.
That would be at the next meeting. Unfortunately, we're at 5 o'clock meeting.
Oh, I apologize.
No problem. That's why I kept saying I didn't know what you were here for.
Okay. wait.
What we're governed by is anything that's discussed here at this workshop can be public comment on those items. Anything else would be, there'll be 2 public comment sessions in the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Anyone else?
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue. First of all, I'd like to thank Fred Verna for his great work, and he always does. But we've been talking, hearing, I have, about connecting everything in optical before we had 2 locations. And now that we have 2 locations, I think it's great, and it's great that you are so dedicated to connecting all of us Margatians. Thank you. And now for Chief Tabasso, and I guess I could include Chief Wolfson. The letter you read and everything you said is a testament to how dedicated, along with Fred, our employees are. And I bring this up. He's not that dedicated? Is that what you're about to say? And I think it's important because there have been groups of people, the Concerned Citizens Group, who have had ads in the paper about how much our employees make, and we need to cut this and cut that, and our employees go above and beyond. Aside the fact that you can't put anything on saving a life, they just go above and beyond, and it's nice to get that good feel Margate, great to work for Margate. great to do good things and get acknowledged for it, so I thank you for bringing that up. And I thank Solicitor Abbott for putting that resolution on and keeping everybody aware of what's going on. I think that's great. I have a question for Mr. Deeney. I will tell you did a wonderful job as well. And I just want to clarify something. My understanding from what I read in the paper today and from your report is that there's two issues at hand. We have to go back December 17th, and I thought what I was reading was saying that when we go back, what we are going to try to show is that their one-size-fits-all solution plan is not the best. But then there was this situation, the part where the judge said that the state should go into state court to get the easements or go through condemnation. It's a little complicated, but I think what happened today, and if you could clarify, it'd be great, was that they can't just take the property based on this ruling that happened today. They have to go through a condemnation process, which is a long, involved process, and that the state didn't want to do that because the Corps doesn't want to rebid and so on and so forth. So there's the piece of that, and then the piece of an alternative solution that may fit. And I'm not asking for any kind of legal strategy. I just want to make sure I understand what happened today.
Okay. Sharon, your 3 minutes are up, but I'll let Rich answer the question.
Thank you. That's really nice to let him do that.
You can take your seat, Sharon.
I can stand too.
With the understanding that I'm not an attorney.
Right.
My understanding of what happened today, in less words than I might have said before, is that the federal judge kept jurisdiction. And we're in the same position, perhaps legally, than we were a week ago when she took jurisdiction. She kept it. She didn't make a decision. But she hinted strongly that the state ought to go to state court and file the regular proceeding. And what we did is preserve our rights and suggested to her, and she agreed, to retain jurisdiction until they do so. So she basically gave them till the 17th. And the reason, part of the reason why she did is because the Army Corps wanted more time to be able to go back to their contractors and get time to extend their time. In other words, they have to make a decision by December 31st under their bid rules, because they've taken bids already. And we said basically to them, why don't you go ask for an extension? Well, okay, they finally agreed to do that to preserve their interests. Their concern is if they have to go rebid again, it's going to cost them a lot of money. So a lot of this happened in a recess where she urged everybody to at least figure out what we're going to do next. And that came out of that process. And they wanted us to post a $50,000 bond, and we refused to do that. As the Army Corps said, well, it's going to cost us more money, and, you know, you should put a bond up in case you eventually lose in court, and you're going to have to pay for it. And we said no, because you went ahead anyhow, even after we warned you. We sent you letters and said, we don't think that the state has the property. We sat here and talked about it the last few weeks. And you said, well, we're going to believe the state.
Right.
So all of that kind of negotiation took place, and as a result, the federal judge kept jurisdiction. Presumably, we'll know one of two things. Either the Army Corps will get an extension, in which case there'll be time to do these negotiations, or it won't, and then we'll know whether the state actually files in state court or they don't, or they, I mean, let's face it, the state doesn't file in state court, they could risk going back to the 17th and having her make a decision. We could still lose on the 17th, but so could they. And they have a big loss if they lose on the 17th.
Well, on the 17th, we have to go back.
We don't necessarily have to go back. If in the interim they file in state court and and/or the Army Corps gets an extension. Either one of those things are going to give us more time to work all this stuff out.
But if they don't file and there is a go back the 17th, we have to defend our position again?
The answer, yes.
I mean, I just want the idea.
We have to,
for-
yes, everybody's required to file more briefs by the state and the federal government are required to file more briefs by the 10th, I believe it's the 10th. And then, I think it's 12th or the 13th, we have to answer those briefs so that we're prepared on the 17th, so she knows exactly where everybody is, so that we don't waste a lot of time on the 17th.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Commissioner Blumberg. He was the one that put this team together. I know it's hard for Mayor Becker for you to comment on that, but he really was the one that took the time and the effort and spoke with them, and you kind of said, no one's given me attorney names, and he did it, and I believe with some help from people in the community. So thank you, Commissioner Blumberg.
Anyone else? Good.
Maybe Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue.
You really got it right.
I would just like to say that, first of all, as a president of the Margate Concerned Citizens Group, I've said this many times, and I'm going to say it one more time, how lucky we all are to live here in Margate, this beautiful city, this safe city, okay? We're lucky, we're blessed to live here, okay? And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, okay? We're blessed. As far as putting things in the paper and questioning how much money people make, Sharon, I'd like to see those paper clippings, okay? I'd like to see them, all right? And I'll just keep it positive. And I think, frankly, that the two commissioners and the mayor have done a great job coming together, okay, on this beach thing. And as I've said, I support the city however it goes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Motion to close public
I
comment?
make a motion that we close public comment.
I'll second.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
You know what, Mike? I just, before we adjourn, there was an item, I thought there was an item on the work agenda that we didn't talk
Oh,
about.
you're right, ice cream license.
Yes. Do we need to talk about that?
What is it?
The ice cream vending license for summer?
Scott, are you ready to talk about it? Because I know that you had a conversation with Tom about it.
We're going to put it up for bid on the ice cream vending for that
Right,
beach.
right. It's on tonight's agenda.
I
Is there
have no
anything
problem.
further that you wanted to talk about? or-
Street, you want to mention a street truck?
I think the question was... Excuse me one second.
Okay.
Because the vendor who won the bid last time, there was a right to extend it for one more year, unless the vendor said, I would like you to rebid it. In other words, they didn't have to commit to an additional $80,000. We understand, although I haven't seen it in writing, but I'm pretty confident that the vendor has asked us to put it out to rebid. So with that, I think we should go out to rebid. And I think we can do it. You want to authorize it tonight, right? Why not?
It is on
So,
tonight's...
let's authorize it.
Well, with regard to the actual resolution, are we going to include that phrase again as far as extending it, or do...
You mean for next year?
Yeah. That's why I gave you the page 1 of the actual resolution. So if you want to just think about it, and
Let you know at 5 o'clock.
that's fine.
All right.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm good now.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we close.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
We will reconvene 5 minutes.